Buongiorno a tutti. Welcome back to Crave. Welcome to our 7th episode, now as a podcast. I'm so excited to kick off another season filled with passion from Italian American lifestyle to 49ers football with Alex. Crave is all about people who are passionate in what they do and where they want to go. Crave is more than a show. It's a community where every voice matters and every passion deserves a spotlight. Today we are going to have a special guest, and I just want to say hi now to Alex. She's here in studio with me, and we have let's say we have like a new guest here today, our friends. Do you want to show Alex? Buongiorno, Alex.
A new co-host of Crave?
Yeah, he's a producer.
He's a producer.
Buongiorno, Alex.
Hi, and I have with me my dog, Buddy.
Do you want to show to our audience? Hi, Buddy. Welcome to Crave. If you guys love a Chihuahua, his name is Buddy, and he's a teacup, right?
Yes.
Chihuahua is Alex's dog.
This gets into our check-in of how are we doing this morning.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's been, I would say, a difficult couple weeks for me. As you guys know, I lost my grandpa, and his funeral was this past week. And then on Sunday, I lost my childhood dog, Cutie, his little companion. And so I wanted to bring Buddy because he needs that support right now. And you know what? I also need that support right now with him.
Right.
But he's here at Crave, okay?
Yeah. And if we love dogs. We love animals.
Yes.
So everybody's welcome on Crave. Of course, we need to have a certain size.
Yes.
You cannot, invite a horse, right? Camila.
One day.
One day,
maybe
Camila.
we'll go visit her.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. We can go visit Camila and we can shoot up there. Yeah.
But how are you doing this morning, Samantha?
I'm good, actually. I'm good. I know there is a lot of things going on, and really, my heart goes to you and your family. It's been, been thinking about you a lot, Alex. Also, I love that you brought a dog. Actually, you know how much I love animals. I heard about Buddy for a long time, and this morning I met him, so it was very nice.
He's a little camera shy right now, but that's okay.
Yeah, and I just one thing I really want to highlight today, I want to remind to us and everyone that, we are all fighting our own battle, right? There's so much going on in the world, personal life, but let's be kind to each other. Let's offer support and try not to take anything personal, but be there for others. I understand that a lot of people, sometimes they act in a way they act, but there is something behind. So let's focus on, I really believe, lifting each other's right up and creating a space really of the understanding, empathy, and compassion. That's why we love here at Crave. That's a really... I was thinking, about this message, last night and this morning. I just want to share with everybody.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And I think we need a reminder of that sometimes. I think everybody, like you said, is fighting their own battles and going through their own things. And sometimes I think everyone should take a second and take a deep breath and kind of have empathy and sympathy for others because, honestly, this couple weeks have taught me that's very important, I think. And I think we need more of that with everything that's going on.
It also for you was a lot of things to process, because it was not just about, Alex individual. You have a big family. Everybody react and grieve in so many different ways.
Yes.
It can be very hard sometimes.
Yeah. And also that was kind of like my first real experience with that. That was my first death in the family that I've ever experienced. And so that was a whole thing in itself. But also I kind of realized how lucky I am. I'm 24 years old, and my grandpa lived a full and long life. And even my cute little teacup chihuahua, Cutie, she did the same. And so I'm very blessed to have had time with them and to have been with them. Oh gosh, I'm gonna cry again. Crying is good, guys. Okay,
This is part of
it's
expression.
part of expression.
We used to, we used to say to little kids when I work in a preschool.
Yeah.
They say it's okay. One part of the emotion. You're happy. Sometimes you cry. It's good to express yourself.
Yeah,
But don't cry too much because
yes. No, but it's a new day. We're starting off good, and today we have two very, very special
very
guests.
special guests.
I'm very excited for. So,
Do you want Tracy
Sandler
and Viola Buitoni?
I'm excited.
Very excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
This episode of Crave is sponsored by Alice Becker Inc., a family-run business with over 30 years of experience in the fashion industry. They offer unique clothing for every age and size, always going the extra mile for their customers. Visit them in Novato or online at www.alicebecker.com.
I'm looking at my jacket.
I know, me too. I feel
And
like
the
I
dress.
say this.
Let's talk about the dress.
Let's talk about the dress.
Yeah. Now I can't really take because we sit down. But
Yeah. I feel like I say this every week, but this is truly something I would wear to a game, like a nice jacket. Of course,
Right.
when it's not hot.
Let's see if you can see the back.
The
too.
last game I went to, it was so
let's
hot.
see
Look
the
at that.
back.
Look at that. Very nice.
I will wear this one any occasions.
Yes. No, this is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Just not for the game that was over 100 degrees that I went to. But other than that, I would wear this to a game. Very nice. And I love that it has a little hoodie on it. It's very my style. Like I would totally wear something like this to a game or going out or whatever.
And today I'm wearing a 49ers.
Yes, she is wearing the Wear by Erin Andrews X Bubble Bar collaboration. So cute. And then I'm wearing my Bubble Bar one as well.
Beautiful.
Sponsor us, please.
Yes.
That would be great. But no, working with Alice Becker, she's just incredible. I feel like every week I couldn't love the outfit she picks out more and more. And then we get to the next week and I'm obsessed with it.
Yes, she's totally like so talented.
So talented and so sweet.
So very, very, very.
Today's 49ers update is going to be very special as we welcome Tracy Sandler, founder and CEO of Fangirl Sports Network and 49ers beat reporter for FGSN. Tracy brings fans the latest news and behind-the-scenes content for the 49ers and is a passionate advocate for female sports fans. Join us as we learn more about her and her journey, explore the broader landscape of sports media, and of course, talk a little bit about the 49ers. Tracy, welcome to Crave. We're so excited to have you on.
Hi, Tracy.
Our first question for you is, what inspired you to start Fangirl Sports Network, and how has it evolved since its inception?
Well, I wanted to create a place for female fans to be whatever kind of sports fan they wanted to be. The women who liked the lifestyle aspect of sports, women who liked the news and analysis aspect, women who liked both. And I just didn't feel at the time that there was much content that spoke directly to female fans. So I wanted to create that. And so that was the beginning of it. It's evolved quite a bit for a while. Well, I'll start with first, it was just 49ers Fangirl. And then we had the AFC and NFC West. And then we had Fangirls for every team. And frankly, that model just didn't work. It didn't work how I'd envisioned it working. It worked for a few teams, but not every team. And so in 2020, I made the decision to do away with that model, which wasn't easy because it was kind of how I dreamt it up to begin with. But I made the decision to do away with that model and really focus on the Fangirl Sports Network content, because that content was working really well. And that our followers and readers and subscribers, well, not subscribers, but followers, readers, podcast listeners, they were really responding to that content. So that became the focus. I, of course, still cover the 49ers as a beat reporter, but that was kind of the beginning and then to where we are today. And I would say in the last couple of years, we've really just hit our stride, and it's going really well.
No, I love it. I follow you guys on Instagram, and I feel like I get most of my kind of updates from Fangirl Sports Network, not just with the 49ers, but all kinds of sports, even sports that I don't really follow thoroughly. I kind of have a sense of what's going on, so it's amazing. I just have to tell you that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, another question. You mentioned that you're a 49ers beat reporter.
Yes.
What has been your most memorable experience covering the team? Or can you share a behind the scenes story from like a 49ers game or practice that stands out to you?
Well, I would have to say, and I don't want it to sound super cliche, but probably my most memorable has been covering 2 Super Bowls. And I think they're each memorable in their own way. You know, the first one is the first one I ever covered. The 49ers is my first professional sports beat, first and only professional sports beat. So there was a lot of new going into it from the get-go. And so covering my first Super Bowl was fascinating because it just was different than anything else I'd done. And it is different than covering a regular season game or even a playoff game. And I know everyone likes to say, well, it's just another game. It's not. It's the Super Bowl. So the rules are different. You know, all of it, just in terms of like where we are and all of that is different. So the first one was incredible because like I woke up that morning and I was like, wow, I built this company from nothing and from scratch, and I am covering the Super Bowl today. And that felt really amazing. Fast forward to this past Super Bowl was even more so because now I felt like I'd done it and I knew a little bit more what to expect, which meant I could get a little bit more into the details of it. I understood how to pace myself during the week, how to do content during the week, how to balance the Fangirl side. That was a lot of press and sponsorships and that side of it. And then the 49ers side. And I understood that, you know what, when you're covering a team in the Super Bowl, even in Las Vegas, you can't be out all night, every night, going to all the parties and everything. It's a very long day of work. And then day of was absolutely incredible. And getting to be there, being in the main press box, and it was really an incredible experience.
Also, I wanted to ask, because I'm so curious about this, I always see you talking to like Jake Moody and Ronnie Bell, and I know they're from Michigan, and I know you have that connection with them, but how do you approach building those relationships with players and coaches to get that kind of insight for your reporting?
Well, with Jake and Ronnie, it was great because they got drafted the same draft class, and Michigan was going into its national championship year, and I had this idea going into the season of doing something called predictable picks and having them pick every week, about the Michigan game, who was going to win. And so I started with them. We had done 5 fun facts together in rookie mini camp, and it kind of got to know them. So I came to them at the beginning of the season, came up with this idea. They loved it. So that's really how we built that. But over time, you build relationships by building trust, and you build relationships by doing good work. And you build relationships by, this is going to sound silly, building actual relationships, to not just talking to someone when you need something. So, over the years, I've been covering George Kittle since he was a rookie. So over the years, there's been a trust built. Same with Nick Bosa, same with Deebo Samuel, same with Brock Purdy. Like, there's a trust built over time, and not every conversation is to be reported. Not every conversation is work related. You want to build trust with people, and that's the best way to do it. And so predictable picks has been great, and we've had multiple players come on as guest pickers, and it's become kind of a fun thing in the locker room. And then, with Niners Unplugged and the stuff that I do with that's built relationships over time. And I think they know they can trust me, and then we can do these fun questions and create these fun videos. And it's something for them to talk about that's not just football related and shows another side of them. But the biggest part of building relationships is building trust. And as in any relationship, not going to someone just when you need something.
Exactly. How do you see the role of social media changing the landscape of sport reporting right now?
Well, I think it's, positives and minuses. But I think on the positive side, social media creates a place where anyone who wants to do this can kind of just start doing it and getting reps for themselves. You could start an Instagram account if you want to be a sports reporter and you feel like you need reps and you're putting things out there and you're not getting anything back. You can go start an Instagram channel, and you can go to a high school football game, and after the game, set yourself up and report on it, or the next day, or practice, or you can do Instagram lives, Instagram and reels, videos previewing any game, any sport that you're in. And so social media has certainly created a place where we can do the things that we want to do. It gives us a platform, even if one does not have a large platform to begin with. It gives us a platform, and we've seen it work for so many creators and so many journalists. And that, I think, is the very positive side of social media. And that's, one of the benefits. It's TikTok, it's Instagram. There's so many things that you can do to create your platform and solidify yourself in the sports industry.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, another question I have, because you mentioned, how do you balance the demands of being a beat reporter, especially at this time with the 49ers season, and then also being the CEO of Fangirl Sports Network?
Well, I have an incredible team at Fangirl Sports Network, because obviously I certainly wouldn't be able to do all of it on my own. So I have an incredible team at Fangirl, Kelsey and Bailey, who really run that side of it in terms of the day-to-day. I'm obviously very involved. We talk a lot about the overarching content, what it's going to look like, what are our series, and we get that going. But they've been with me a very long time, so I trust them, and I'm able to really let them do what they do. If there's a question, if there's a concern, obviously we all talk about it together, but they really are integral to the Fangirl side of things, and they're amazing, because yes, especially at this time of year, a beat reporter is a full-time job. So there's a lot going on. So that is really balancing it with an incredible team that I trust and letting them do their thing. And that's one of the hardest things to do, of course, when you create a company and you're proud of the company, is letting the people who you've brought on to really run that side of things do it. But they do an incredible job, and without them it would be very difficult.
Okay, what advice would you give to aspiring sports journalists, especially women that are looking to break into the field?
Well, the number one thing is you let your work speak for itself. If you do good work and you're meticulous in your research and your reporting, then you let it speak for yourself. And kind of going back to what we said before, just start doing it. Not everyone has that personality. But if you're going to be a sports reporter and you're going to be in this world, you do kind of have to have the personality and the confidence to, going back to the other thing we said earlier, to be able to go up to a player or a coach and introduce yourself and get to know them, and again, let your work speak for itself. And from the social media side, you can just start doing it. You can start a podcast. You can start talking about games. Every Sunday at 5:00 p.m., you could say, all right, I'm going to review the day's games and preview the Sunday night game, and do it that way. But get started and not waiting for the right time. And then the other huge one, of course, is be open to opportunities. You never want to do something that you absolutely don't want to do. But don't be so tunnel vision that when an opportunity comes your way, that you say no to it, because you also don't know where things lead, and you don't know who you'll meet and how you'll grow and what you'll learn. So being open is so important in this industry.
Okay, another one that I have, because I always see, I think you come up with the best things on social media that are just very engaging. And so how do you kind of stay current with the latest trends and developments of like social media and integrating it with sports journalism?
Well, I think you got to be on social media, which I do try to limit. I don't want to overdo that. So I do try to limit that, but I try to keep an eye on trends. I keep an eye on what's going on TikTok, what's going on on Instagram Reels. Bailey on my team, who I mentioned before, that's part of her job, and she helps so much in keeping me on trend and on topic and kind of knowing what is hot out there. So that's been super helpful.
Our final question for today is, here at Crave, we love talking about our passions. So besides your career, what's another passion of yours?
My dogs are a big passion of mine. My family, my nieces and nephews. I'm a huge music fan. I think that's something that maybe people don't know as much. I'm obviously a diehard Dodger fan, diehard Michigan fan, but I love music. I'm a foodie, so I love trying new restaurants and trying new dishes. For the most part, I'm pretty adventurous with food. There are certain things where they're a non-starter. But I am, for the most part, pretty adventurous with food, and I love to travel. And the last few years, I've been really lucky to go to some incredible and beautiful places. So those are a few of my other passions. But yeah, I do love travel. And the travel and the foodiness go very well together.
Yeah.
So I get to combine those. So this last summer I was in the south of France, which was amazing. I'd never been there. It's beautiful. The food was just unbelievable. So yeah, those are some of my other passions.
But
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on today,
Absolutely.
Tracy. I have so many more questions.
I know.
I would love to have you on again. We have to work out a time that you're
Absolutely.
available. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank
I would
you.
love to come back.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Today we are very excited to have back Viola Buitoni on Crave. She's an amazing instructor and food writer who truly celebrates Italian cuisine. Last time she joined us to talk about her book, Italy by Ingredients, which was a huge, huge hit, right? Now Viola is back in her kitchen to share one of her favorite recipes. So what are you making today?
So first of all, thank you for having me back. I always enjoy chatting with you. I enjoy your audience and your studio and your skills. I just love this. So we have picked, Samantha and I spoke, and we have picked a recipe from my book, Italy by Ingredient, and we decided to make something that has a lot of history in my life, that's been kind of ever present, and it is also super easy to make, so that our listeners can and our viewers can maybe look at it and decide that they're going to make it again.
Nice. Are you ready?
I have two cameras for you. Yes, I have two cameras for you. One is you looking at me. The other one is looking at the surface
That's beautiful.
on where I'm cooking. Can you see me?
Yes.
So
Yes.
Pescespada dell'Amore means the swordfish of love. What is the story of this dish? The story of this dish is that it's been in my life ever since I have conscious memory. It's a dish that whose first memories date back to when we used to go boating during the summer. My grandfather was an avid boater, and so in the summer we spent lots and lots of lazy morning and afternoons. So this was one of the dishes that got cooked very often, because sailing in the Mediterranean, sometimes you would find fishermen who had just caught a nice pescespada, swordfish, and so we'd buy it and then clean it, and then the helpers, the skippers on the boat would make this like super simple but very flavorful dish. Later on, I remember this in my mother's kitchen. Actually, when my mother got divorced, when my parents got divorced, she started entertaining a lot. That was one of the way that she worked her way through the grief, that she just had these dinners. My father was not big on fish. He's never been. He's more of like an inland kind of guy, was more of an inland kind of guy. And so my mother, almost as if in a reaction, would have these dinners, and all she would make was fish. And this was one of the dishes that would appear very often on the menu. Later on, when I moved to the States, it's definitely one of the dishes that I recreated. And then during my budget unfriendly days, when swordfish sometimes was a little too expensive for me, what I would do is, instead of making steaks, I would make it in cubes like this, so that it would go longer. And then also, if I had some of it left over, I could actually just stretch it into a sauce for pasta. And then what happened is, at some point, as you know, I met my husband. And well, actually, I met my husband in 1986, I think, but we did not get together until 1998. And so when we did, he still lived in San Francisco, I lived in New York, and so we would go back and forth, and this was one of the recipes that I would make for him all the time, because he absolutely loved it. And I made it the first time that he came to spend the weekend with me from San Francisco to New York, and I like to joke around that this is the dish that cinched the deal. You know, it was like my sales pitch to him.
Exactly.
I love it.
Nowadays, it is still one of my family's, including my kids' favorite dish. So I just want to tell you what I'm doing here. May I give you a sense of what's happening in my pots and pans?
Yeah,
All right, you saw me cut the pescespada, and now what I did here is I put a little bit of olive oil and some garlic, and I am just going to wait for the smell of the garlic to come to me. When that happens, I'm going to take the pescespada, which I cubed, and I'm going to put it in here very quickly. All I'm looking for is for it to change color. And by changing color, I don't mean browning. I'm just thinking of going from pink to gray. That is all. And the intention of this is to capture the flavor of the Pescespada. So let it do some of its, release some of its juices in the pan. Because once the color is changed on all sides, so as you can see I'm turning it around, and that's going to happen in a matter of like a couple of minutes. Then I'm going to pick it up again. I'm using a skimmer, but you can also use a slotted spoon. This is like my favorite Japanese skimmers. I love it, so I use it all the time. You see that thing, that shape that it has? You can actually go under the fish and pick it up, and I love that. So almost ready. You know that Pescespada gets super stringy. So swordfish, you just give it like a couple of minutes too much, and all you have is like a super stringy and tough fish. So I'm taking it out. And then I'm using the same super infused oil to make my sauce. The ingredients here are tomatoes, some nice sweet tomatoes, and a little bit of fresh basil. We're going to put some in the sauce while it's cooking, and then the other one on top. And then also I like to put a little bit of dried oregano. This is my addition. It was not in the one that my mother made, but I kind of love dried oregano, and I have this Sicilian dried oregano, which is delicious. Of course, a little salt. Sorry, I'm going off camera, but of course a little salt. And of course a little black pepper, or if you prefer, if you want to make it spicy, with a little bit of peperoncino. And then I'm going to give this maybe 5 minutes, 10, depending on how acidic your tomatoes are. These are pretty sweet tomatoes. They're tiny tomatoes called corbarini. They are from the sides of Mount Vesuvius. And at this point, I'm going to cover it, turn it down, and give it the 5 minutes that it needs to cook. And I would love, if you let me, to read some of this recipe that I was talking about. May I?
Yes.
Here, I found it.
Okay.
Starts like this, and I'm going to read you the head note, not the recipe itself. What I say is that the emotional dimension of this dish is infinite in my life. In the long ago summer lull of a boat, its fragrance wafting from below deck is the only thing that could keep my siblings and me still for more than 5 minutes. In my teen years, he finds a winter home in my newly divorced mother's kitchen. As I enter adulthood and move to New York, I tinker with it in a tiny kitchen where with time the swordfish changes some and eventually gains its name as a witness to the beginning of my love for my husband. I still remember that moment. Leonard Cohen was billowing about a man tied to a kitchen chair, and I recall panicking that my too small for a chair kitchen wouldn't be big enough to tie him down. I remember his hands between me and the stove, my clean hair caressing his nostrils. I remember that I never wanted that moment to end. It didn't. 22 years later in San Francisco, this brightly hued combination of tomato, capers, and olives over swordfish is still the best loved dish in my repertoire by both my husband and my son. Can we take a look at the swordfish again?
Oh my gosh. This is making me so hungry.
I know, abbiamo un po' di fame. We are hungry right now. Last time you brought food for us.
Yes.
This time you can't.
I did, remember? Yes, I cannot.
Yeah, for Pasqua. Are there any modifications you have made for the original recipes? And if so, why?
So I have, yes, one of the modifications is that I use both basil and dried oregano. So basil is very much a summer thing, but here in San Francisco we're lucky enough to find it year-round because there always is sun somewhere around the Bay Area. And dried oregano was more common when it was done on a boat. Dried oregano was more common because on a boat it's very difficult to have fresh herbs. So I decided I couldn't choose whether I liked the fresh basil or the dried oregano, so I just put both of them. The other thing that I do, and this is a modification that I made in all of my dishes, I'm going to be putting in olives shortly. You can see that my olives are well rinsed, and also they are hanging out in water. And the reason why I like to do that is because olives have they sit in brine, and the brine has a very meaningful flavor, which is going to impact the final result of your dish. So whenever I use olives, I always rinse them very, very well.
So what advice would you give someone making this dish for the first time? It look beautiful, for the first time, what advice you will give?
So this is a dish that you cannot mess up. I would say that swordfish is a great match for it, but you can use other fish, right? You can use other fish, and so I would say the first time make it with swordfish, because swordfish is perfect for it, and you get a good idea of what it needs to be like. Once you get a good hand at it, then you can start using other fish. So I've done this with seafood, like with shrimp. I've done it with tiny calamari. I've also done it with sea bass, with tilapia. So really you can do anything. The other advice that I give anyone who makes this dish is make more, because you're going to love having the leftovers. Either you eat them just as leftovers, or you mash them with a fork and put them on your pasta. So this is ready, and this is the biggest trick that we're going to learn today. So I'm going to take my pescespada, which is not fully cooked yet. Remember, we just kind of like did the sides of it. And I'm going to put it in the super hot sauce, mix it so that the sauce covers it, and I am going to cover it. And I'm going to turn off the heat. I'm going to turn off the heat, and I'm going to let the steam and the hot sauce cook my swordfish. And the swordfish is going to stay incredibly tender. And this is the second biggest modification that I brought to this dish. And this is, it's actually, I have to admit, it's a French technique that I learned with shrimp, where you just put them in boiling water and then you turn it off. And I said, oh, let me apply to the Pescespada. And it actually works incredibly well. It needs to stay about 15-20 minutes, and then it's ready. But even if it stays longer, it is not going to get tough.
Where people can find your book, Viola?
Anywhere books are sold, of course. You can, if they don't have it, make sure you order them and you let them know how much you want them to carry the book. But anywhere books are sold, be it my preference, which is a small local bookstore, or even online. I like to support bookshop.org, which is a platform for small independent bookstores around the country. So I have the garnish here. I'm going to put it next to the phone so that you can see. Let me move my hands where it needs to be. Sorry, I'm having trouble. There you go. So do you see that I have, yes, I have flowers in here. So I'm using basil flower. I think we all grow up being told, oh, you should not use the flowers of the herbs if they're flowers and they're bad. My mother always maintained that flowers are where all the flavor concentrates. So when she cooked, she always used everything of the herbs in any kind of herb that she would use. So to this day, I still use the flowers, and I love to use them for garnish. So if I get a bunch of herbs that is flowering, I will save all the flower tips and I will use them for garnishing. So that's what I did here. I saved some tiny, tiny leaves and the flowers, and this is going to go on top of the swordfish before I serve it.
This is I can't even explain. This is exactly like,
yeah, and is just
the food I would eat.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so hungry right now.
And also simple, and it's very easy to it's very easy to make. Actually, it's not complicated.
Not
everybody,
at all.
yeah, right. That's what I like about Viola book. There's so many wonderful recipes, and they're like, everybody can learn to make that.
That's my mission as an instructor and as a food writer. I'm a cooking instructor, as you know. And then from instructing people how to cook, then I kind of developed into a food writer. And my mission in what I do is actually to make sure that people find a way to bring the everyday art of Italian cooking into their lives. And so none of my recipes are terribly complicated, because I always think of someone coming home after a full day of work, after having to deal, with kids, with traffic, and I don't want them to feel like, oh my God, now I get home and I have to spend an hour and a half on dinner. My idea is that you spend no more than like 20-30 minutes on dinner.
Yeah. What is the best compliment you have ever received for these dishes?
I mean, the best compliment there are many, I have to say, at the risk of sounding immodest, I do get a lot of compliments for my work, so that's very nice. But the ones that I like more are the ones that are, that praise not specifically any given dish, but what I do in the classroom and with my book. And I've had quite a few people looking at me in the eyes and say, you've changed the way I cook. And that to me is just, exactly what I want to do. I want to change the way people cook, and I want to make it accessible, easy. I want to demystify it in a way, not have cooking be this kind of like aspirational thing, but really like an everyday thing that everybody can fold into their living. And so if that's what I have obtained, that's what I have yielded by teaching and by writing and by talking about food, then that's the best compliment I can receive.
Wonderful. Beautiful. Can we see what's going on in your pan?
Let's see what's going on in the pot. It looks very beautiful. Let me get a fork.
No, I wish I could. I wish I could taste test through the screen. It looks incredible.
You look incredible. Yeah.
So it's actually, I'm going to cut one piece to see if it's ready, but I'm pretty sure that it is. And it actually is, because if you look at it inside, it's very tender, but it's all white. Can you see it? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also going to try it. It's delicious.
Wow.
So it's tender, it's not stringy, it's very flavorful. It does need a little bit of salt. Of course, salt is subjective, right? If you think it's salty enough, then that's fine. For my taste, it needs a little bit more of salt, and I also know that for my husband's taste tonight, that's what he's going to eat, because I'm out for dinner, so when I go out for dinner, I always leave him his favorite dishes.
Yeah, of course.
I know it's going to need a little more salt.
Here at Crave, we love talking about passions. Besides your career, what another passion of yours?
Well, I have many. I love clothes, that's one thing. Fashion is a big passion for me. I take a lot of pleasure in not just clothes for myself, but also in dressing friends. I have friends who will only go shopping for clothes if I go along with them. I have a cohort of friends for that, and I always tell them where the sales are or where they should go. And not everybody can go to the same stores, right? These different stores cater to different type of women, to different tastes, so that is a passion of mine. Another passion is flowers. I love like arranging flowers, buying flowers, looking at flowers. So that's another thing that I really enjoy. Another passion of mine is people. I really do love friendship and people and interactions and building a community or different communities that can where you can foster the different passions that you have. So, I do have friends who actually mostly go around in their sweats and they think that fashion is stupid. That doesn't mean they're not wonderful people, and I can still hang out with them. I just don't, I just share other things of my life. So that's a different community than the one that really loves to go shopping with me. What I don't have is a community that doesn't love eating. So everybody in my cohorts, all my different communities, absolutely loves eating and loves gathering around the table. So here is the preparation in a lovely plate. So I'm going to plate it. I love to plate this on a dish that really shows it off. So I generally put it like in a white dish or a light colored dish, because that way you really see all the beautiful colors. And I want to talk about olives for a second, because when I cook with olives, you remember I was talking about the brine? I mostly cook with olives that have the pits in, because if they don't have the pits in, then the brine not only gets in on the outside, but also gets in on the inside. So I actually leave the pit on in these olives. Just make sure that if you decide that you want to leave the pits in, just let the people who are going to eat the Pescespada know. And then we take these beautiful flowers and kind of put them all around, and the little leaves. And that's it. Ready.
Wow. I will do the scarpetta, right? The scarpetta with this.
Absolutely. Yes.
You guys know what is scarpetta?
Actually, so the scarpetta is when you have something left over and then you take a piece of bread and you kind of sop up the sauce. I actually, one of the ways in which I serve this is with toasted bread. You could serve it with like 2 nice slices of toasted bread on the side.
Viola, for those people loves wine, what kind of
Yes.
wine you will have with this kind of recipes?
This really calls for a super dry wine, like very easy to drink, very fresh, the kind of wine that you almost drink because you're thirsty. You know what I'm talking about? Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm super thirsty. I would love like an ice glass of wine. So that's kind of what you're looking for. So a Vermentino would be good, or like a Falanghina. Very, very, very cold, very iced, and you just have a little bit on the side with it. And if you have it with bread, it kind of brings everything together very beautifully. The wine, the tomato, everything.
Fantastico. Veramente buon appetito.
I wish I was over there
Right,
to eat
me
it.
too. Next time.
Next time we have to.
Viola, we need to have you
We're
back.
going to have, yes, we need to do a regular cooking segment on Crave,
Regular.
I
Yes.
I
think.
might have you very soon.
Yes, please.
Yeah, very soon. Buon
Thank you.
appetito. Viola, grazie tantissimo. Thank you
Grazie
so much.
mille.
Grazie.
Always a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you for tuning into our 7th episode of our 5th season. Follow us on Instagram at crave.show and tune in every week for a new episode.
Also, make sure you check our website, craveshow.com. craveshow.com, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you so much. Ciao.
Stay tuned for next week.